Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the TDF Salvation and watched the stars disappear. One by one, the alien ships blocked out the light as they moved closer to Earth. His hands gripped the metal rail so hard his knuckles turned white. Behind him, his crew worked at their stations with quiet focus. They all knew this might be their last day alive. The communication officer turned to face him. "Sir, Admiral Bennett wants to speak with all ship commanders in 10 minutes. Jake nodded but said nothing. He had been fighting the Zephyrians for 3 years now. He had watched them destroy colony after colony. He had seen his friends die in space battles that humans could never win. The aliens had better ships, better weapons, and there were so many more of them. "How many ships do we have left?" Jake asked his first officer. 12 dreadnoughts, 34 cruisers, and maybe 200 smaller vessels, came the reply. "The aliens have over 3,000 ships heading our way." Jake closed his eyes for a moment. The numbers were impossible. Even if every human ship fought perfectly, they would still lose, but they had to try. Behind them was Earth, with 8 billion people who had nowhere else to go. On Mars, Lieutenant Colonel Amy Rodriguez crawled through the red dirt toward the enemy position. Her Marines followed behind her, their faces covered with dust and sweat. The Zephyrian scouts had landed 2 days ago, and more ships were coming every hour. "How many civilians are still on the transport ships?" she whispered into her radio. "About 4 million, ma'am," came the answer. "The ships are full, but there are still 20 million people waiting to leave." Amy felt her stomach drop. 20 million people with nowhere to go. The transport ships could not make another trip before the main alien army arrived. Those people would be trapped on Mars when the real fighting started. She looked through her scope at the alien patrol ahead. 3 creatures that looked like giant insects walked between the rocks. Their weapons could cut through human armor like paper. But Amy and her Marines had something the aliens did not understand. They had nothing left to lose. "Take them down," she whispered to her team. The fight was over in seconds. The aliens never saw the humans coming, but Amy knew this was just the beginning. Soon, there would be thousands of alien soldiers on Mars, and her small force of Marines would have to stop them all. Deep under the surface of the moon, Dr. Helen Carter worked alone in her laboratory. The room was filled with pieces of alien technology that her team had taken from crashed enemy ships. Wires and circuits covered every table. Strange blue lights blinked in the darkness. Helen had not slept in 3 days. Her eyes were red and her hands shook as she worked. But she was close to something important. The alien technology was different from anything humans had ever seen. It seemed to think for itself, like it was alive. "Computer, run test sequence. 47, she said. The machine behind her started to hum. On the screen, numbers and symbols moved too fast for normal eyes to follow. Helen watched them carefully. This was her last chance to find something that could help humanity fight back. The test failed again. The alien device shut down and smoke came out of its metal case. Helen wanted to scream, but she did not have time. The enemy fleet would reach Earth in 4 days. If Project Phoenix did not work, humanity would die. She picked up another piece of alien technology and started again. Admiral Paul Bennett stood in the command center deep inside Earth's moon. Around him, dozens of officers worked at computers and communication devices. The walls were covered with screens showing the movement of ships throughout the solar system. "Sir, we have confirmation," said his aide. "The Zephyrian main fleet will reach Jupiter in 18 hours. Paul had been a soldier for 40 years. He had fought in wars across the galaxy. But he had never faced anything like this. The enemy had 3 different alien races working together. The Carians were smart and had the best technology. The Mi, Torvin, were huge and strong and loved to fight. The Nexari could read minds and see the future. Together they had destroyed every human army that tried to stop them. "Get me a line to all remaining ships," Paul said. Within minutes, every human captain in the solar system could hear his voice. Paul looked at the camera and thought about what to say. These men and women were about to die fighting an enemy they could not beat. But they would fight anyway because that was what humans did. "This is Admiral Bennett speaking," he began. "I will not lie to you. The enemy has more ships than we do. Their weapons are better than ours, In any normal battle, we would lose. He paused and looked around the room at his officers. They were scared, but they were ready. But this is not a normal battle. This is a fight for our home, for our families, for every human child who will ever be born. The aliens think they know us. They think we will give up when things look bad. They are wrong. On ships throughout the solar system, human crews listened to their admiral's words. On Mars, Marines checked their weapons one more time. On the moon, Dr. Helen Carter looked up from her work for just a moment. We are going to show these aliens something they have never seen before, Paul continued. We are going to show them what happens when you threaten humanity's home. We are going to fight, and we are going to win, because we have no other choice. The FAO transmission ended, and the waiting began. In 18 hours, the largest space battle in human history would start. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, and every human in the solar system knew that tomorrow would change everything. The Zephyrian fleet came out of deep space like a wall of death. Commander Jake Morrison watched his sensors as 3,000 enemy ships moved toward Jupiter. Their flagship, the Dominion Spear, was twice the size of any human ship ever built. Around it, smaller vessels spread out in perfect formation. All ships, this is Morrison, he said into his radio. Remember the plan. We hit them hard and fast, then fall back to the asteroid belt. Make every shot count. Jake's small fleet of human ships waited behind Jupiter's largest moon. They had 12 dreadnoughts against 3,000 alien vessels. The math was simple and terrible. But Jake had spent months studying how the aliens fought. They were smart and strong, but they followed patterns. Humans did not. The first alien scouts rounded the moon and found themselves face to face with human guns. Jake's ships opened fire at point-blank range. 3 enemy vessels exploded before they could send. A warning, but more were coming. Move to position 2, Jake ordered. His fleet scattered into the asteroid field between Jupiter and Mars. The aliens followed, but now they could not use their numbers. Between the floating rocks, it became a fight between small groups of ships. This was where humans were at their best. On Mars, Lieutenant Colonel Amy Rodriguez heard the explosions in space above her. The battle had started. Soon, alien ground troops would land on the red planet and her Marines would have to stop them. How many transports got away? She asked. The last ship left an hour ago, her sergeant replied. But we could only save half the people. The rest are in the underground shelters. Amy nodded. 10 million people were now trapped below ground on Mars. If her Marines failed, those people would die. The aliens did not take prisoners. The first enemy dropships came down like falling stars. Amy watched through her binoculars as they landed in the distance. Huge doors opened, and the Torvan ground troops came out. Each one was 8 feet tall and covered in thick armor. They carried weapons that could punch holes through solid rock. But Amy had prepared for this. Her Marines knew every cave and tunnel on Mars. They had set traps and hidden weapons everywhere. The aliens might be stronger, but the humans knew the ground. Let them come to us, Amy said. When they get close, we show them what Marines can do. The first group of aliens marched straight toward the human position. They moved in a perfect line, just like their ships in space. Amy waited until they were 50 yards away, then gave the signal. Explosions erupted all around the alien troops. Hidden mines went off under their feet. Marine snipers fired from behind rocks. In seconds, half the enemy force was down. But more ships kept landing. For every alien that fell, 2 more took its place. Amy knew her Marines could not hold forever, but they would hold as long as possible. Deep in her laboratory on the moon, Dr. Helen Carter made a discovery that changed everything. She had been trying to understand alien technology for months. Now finally she saw how it worked. The alien machines were not just computers, they were connected to the aliens' brains. Every Zephyrian soldier had a small device implanted in their head. It let them talk to their ships and weapons without using words. But Helen realized something the aliens did not know. Human brains were different. If a human could connect to the alien network, they might be able to control it. Computer, prepare for human neural interface test, she said. Warning, the computer replied. Neural interface with alien technology is extremely dangerous. Brain damage or death may result. Helen looked at the screen showing the battle in space. Jake Morrison's ships were fighting hard, but they were losing. On Mars, Amy Rodriguez's Marines were surrounded. Humanity was running out of time. Begin the test, Helen said. She put on the helmet connected to the alien device. Pain shot through her head like lightning. Images flashed in her mind. Alien ships, alien weapons, alien thoughts. For a moment she could see through their eyes and feel what they felt. Then the connection broke, and Helen fell to the floor. Blood ran from her nose, but she was smiling. It had worked. For just a few seconds she had been inside the alien network. In space, Jake Morrison was running out of ships. Half his fleet was gone, and the aliens kept coming. But something strange was happening. The enemy ships were not fighting as well as before. They seemed confused, making mistakes they had never made. "Sir, look at this," his weapons officer said. "That alien cruiser just fired on its own escort ship." Jake watched in amazement as two enemy vessels destroyed each other. Then it happened again with another group. The perfect alien formation was breaking apart. He did not know what was causing it, but Jake was not going to waste the chance. All ships attack now while they're confused. The remaining human vessels charged into the alien fleet. For the first time in the war, human ships were winning fights against superior numbers. The aliens seemed to have lost their ability to work together. On Mars, Amy Rodriguez saw the same thing happening with the ground troops. The Torvan soldiers had stopped their coordinated attack. Instead, they wandered around like they were lost. Some of them were fighting each other. "Now's our chance," Amy told her Marines. "Hit them while they don't know what they're doing." The Marines came out of their hiding places and attacked the confused aliens. Without their perfect teamwork, the enemy troops were just big, slow targets. Amy's soldiers moved fast, hitting the aliens from all sides. But Amy knew this would not last long. Whatever was causing the aliens to act strange would not continue forever. When they recovered, the battle would get much harder. In her laboratory, Dr. Helen Carter struggled to stand up. The neural interface had nearly killed her, but she had learned something important. She could connect to the alien network. And if she could do it, other humans could too. The war was about to change in ways no one expected. The news of Dr. Helen Carter's breakthrough spread through the human fleet like fire. Admiral Paul Bennett received the report while watching the battle from his command center. For the first time in months, he felt something he had almost forgotten: hope. "Get me a direct line to Dr. Carter," he ordered. Helen's face appeared on the screen, pale and tired but determined. "Admiral, I can connect human brains to their technology, but it's dangerous. The neural interface could kill the person using it." "How dangerous?" Paul asked. "Maybe half the people who try it will die. The others might suffer permanent brain damage." Paul looked around the command center at his officers. They were all listening to every word. The Admiral made his decision. "Quickly, we need volunteers. Put out the call to every ship and every base. Tell them what the risks are. Let them choose." Within an hour, thousands of human soldiers had volunteered for the neural interface program. They knew they might die, but they also knew it was humanity's only chance. Captain Danny Brooks was one of the first to volunteer. He commanded a squadron of fighter pilots aboard the carrier ship New York. When he heard about Project Phoenix, he did not hesitate. "I'll do it," he told his crew. "My pilots are the best in the fleet. If we can match their reflexes and read their minds, we can beat them." The first neural interface surgery took place on Danny's ship. Dr. Carter had sent the plans to every human vessel with medical facilities. The doctors worked fast, implanting the alien device directly into Danny's brain. When Danny woke up, everything was different. He could feel the alien ships moving through space like they were part of his own body. He could sense their weapons charging and their engines firing. Most importantly, he could predict what they would do next. "Launch all fighters," Danny said. "It's time to test this thing." His squadron flew out into the battle around Jupiter. The alien pilots tried to shoot them down, but Danny's enhanced reflexes let him dodge their attacks easily. He could see their weapons firing before they even pulled the trigger. Danny's wingman, Lieutenant Pete Wilson, had also received the neural interface. Together, they flew through the alien formation like they owned the sky. In 10 minutes, they shot down 8 enemy fighters without taking a single hit. "This is impossible," Pete said over the radio. "I can read their minds." "Not their minds," Danny replied. "They're machines. We're connected to their network now." The success of Danny's squadron gave Admiral Bennett the proof he needed. He ordered the neural interface program to expand to every human ship and base. The volunteers kept coming, even though everyone knew the risks. On Mars, Lieutenant Colonel Amy Rodriguez watched her Marines install the new equipment. Staff Sergeant Linda Hayes was the first ground soldier to receive the neural interface. She was a tough woman who had fought aliens on 6 different planets. "How do you feel?" Amy asked after the surgery. Linda stood up and looked around. Her eyes were different now, brighter and more focused. "I can feel them, Colonel. The aliens. They're about 2 miles north of here, and they're planning to attack at dawn." "How many?" 200 Torvan soldiers plus 50 of those bug-like Carians with the energy weapons." Amy stared at Linda. There was no way she could know that information unless the neural interface really worked. "Can you fight them?" Linda picked up her rifle and checked the ammunition. "Ma'am, I think we're about to find out what humans can really do." The next morning, Linda led a team of 10 Marines against the alien force. All of them had received the neural interface. Amy watched from the command post as her enhanced soldiers moved across the Martian landscape. What she saw amazed her. The Marines moved like they could see through walls. They knew exactly where each alien was hiding. They could predict every enemy attack before it happened. In 30 minutes, Linda's team destroyed the entire alien force without losing a single Marine. "Colonel," Linda said over the radio, "we need more volunteers for the interface program. With these abilities, we can take back Mars." But the neural interface came with a terrible price. Of the first 100 volunteers, 43 died during the surgery. The others suffered from constant headaches and strange dreams. Some of them started acting differently, as if connecting to the alien network had changed who they were. Dr. Carter worked day and night to make the process safer. She knew that every human who volunteered was risking their life. But she also knew that without Project Phoenix, humanity would lose the war. Commander Jake Morrison received his neural interface while his ship was still fighting in the asteroid belt. The surgery was performed in the middle of a battle, with explosions going off around them. When Jake woke up, he could see the entire alien fleet like a map in his mind. He knew which ships were damaged and which ones were preparing to attack. Most importantly, he could feel their communication network. "All ships, this is Morrison," he said. "I'm sending you new targeting data. Attack the ships I mark in the order I give you." Jake's enhanced brain could process information faster than any computer. He could see patterns in the alien formation that no human had ever noticed before. Under his direction, the remaining human ships began to fight with deadly precision. The aliens started to panic. For the first time in the war, humans were outfighting them. Ship after ship fell to Jake's tactical genius. The perfect alien formation began to break apart. But Jake could feel the neural interface burning out his brain. Every minute he used the pain got worse. He knew he did not have much time left. "Send a message to Admiral Bennett," he told his communications officer. "Tell him the interface works, but we need more volunteers, and tell him to hurry." The tide of battle was turning, but the cost was enormous. For every alien ship destroyed, humanity lost another hero to the neural interface. The question was whether they could win the war before the technology killed them all. The alien commanders could not believe what they were seeing. General Caxtar of the Carian forces stared at his battle screens in shock. His perfect fleet was losing ships faster than he could count them. The humans were fighting like they could read minds. "How are they doing this?" he demanded from his officers. "Unknown, General," came the reply. "The human pilots are predicting our movements before we make them. Their ground forces know our positions without seeing us. It is as if they have become like us." War Chief Bracknell of the Torvan slammed his massive fist on the table. "Impossible! Humans are weak creatures. They cannot match our technology. But the proof was right in front of them. Human ships were destroying Zephyrian vessels 3-1. On Mars, Torvan ground troops were being hunted down by enhanced human marines who seemed to appear from nowhere. Admiral Paul Bennett watched the battle reports with growing amazement. Project Phoenix was working better than anyone had hoped. Human forces were winning fights they should have lost, but the cost was terrible. "How many volunteers have we lost?" he asked his aide. 237 confirmed deaths from the neural interface, sir. Another 100 are in critical condition. Paul closed his eyes. Each number was a person who had given their life for humanity, but their sacrifice was saving millions of others. Captain Danny Brooks led another attack run against the alien fleet. His enhanced pilots flew through enemy fire like they were dancing. But Danny could feel his brain burning from the neural interface. The pain was getting worse every hour. "Target the command ship," he told his squadron. "If we can take out their leaders, the rest might fall back." Danny's fighters dove toward the massive Karian battleship. The alien point defense systems fired thousands of rounds at them, but the human pilots could see each shot coming. They twisted and turned through the deadly fire without being hit. Danny launched his missiles at the battleship's bridge. The explosions tore through the alien armor like paper. Inside the ship, General Caxtar died in the flames along with his entire command staff, but the effort cost Danny everything. The neural interface finally burned out his brain. His fighter spiraled out of control and crashed into an asteroid. His last words over the radio were, "Tell my wife I love her." On Mars, Staff Sergeant Linda Hayes led her enhanced Marines in a final assault on the alien landing site. She could feel the enemy positions through the neural link, but she could also feel her mind breaking apart. 20 Torvan behind the rocks, she told her team. 15 Karians in the bunker, take them down fast. The Marines moved like ghosts through the Martian landscape. They knew where every alien was hiding. The enemy never saw them coming. In 15 minutes, the entire alien force was destroyed. But Linda collapsed as soon as the fighting ended. Blood poured from her nose and ears. The neural interface had pushed her brain too far. "Get her to medical," shouted Corporal Mike Turner. "And get me a replacement interface. We have more aliens to kill." Dr. Helen Carter worked desperately to save the volunteers who were dying from the neural interface. She had found a way to make the connection safer, but it would take time to build new equipment. "How long?" Admiral Bennett asked her. 6 hours for the first batch, sir, but we might not have 6 hours. Helen was right. The alien fleet was regrouping after the loss of General Caxtar. War Chief Bracknell had taken command of all Zephyrian forces. Unlike the careful Karian general, Bracknell preferred direct attacks. "All ships advance on Earth," Bracknell ordered. "Forget tactics, we will crush the humans with pure force." 2,000 alien ships began moving toward humanity's home planet. They had lost a third of their fleet, but they still outnumbered the humans 10-1. Commander Jake Morrison's damaged ship limped back toward Earth. The neural interface had nearly killed him, but he was still alive and still fighting. His tactical genius had saved hundreds of human lives, but he knew the worst was yet to come. "Sir, we're detecting a massive alien formation heading for Earth," his sensor officer reported. Jake looked at the display. The alien fleet was moving in a straight line toward humanity's home. They had given up on fancy tactics. Now they just wanted to destroy everything in their path. "Get me Admiral Bennett," Jake said. The Admiral's face appeared on the screen. "Jake, thank God you're alive. We thought we lost you." "Sir, the aliens are coming straight for Earth. They're not trying to be clever anymore. It's going to be a slugging match." Paul nodded. "How many ships do we have left?" "Maybe 300 combat vessels. The rest are damaged or destroyed." The numbers were still impossible. 300 human ships against 2,000 aliens. But Paul had learned something important over the last few days. Numbers did not tell the whole story. "Jake, how many Phoenix volunteers do we have left?" "About 50 pilots and 100 ground troops. The rest are dead or too injured to fight." Paul made his decision. "Gather every ship that can fly, call in every volunteer for the neural interface, even the ones who aren't fully trained. This is our last chance." Across the solar system, humans prepared for the final battle. Retired pilots came out of hiding to fly old fighters. Civilian ships were armed with whatever weapons could be found. Engineers worked around the clock to install neural interfaces in anyone brave enough to volunteer. Dr. Carter made a final discovery that changed everything. While studying the alien network, she found something the Zephyrians did not know about: their own technology. Their entire fleet was connected through a single control system. If someone could access that system, they could control every alien ship at once. But connecting to the main network would require multiple neural interfaces working together. The human brain could not handle that much information. It would kill anyone who tried it. Helen looked at the volunteers waiting for surgery. They were soldiers, pilots, and engineers who had already given so much. Now she was asking them to give their lives for one final chance at victory. "I need 5 volunteers for a special mission," she announced. "You will not survive this operation, but if it works, we can save Earth." Every person in the room raised their hand. 5 brave humans lay on operating tables in Dr. Helen Carter's laboratory. They were Major Kate Williams, Sergeant Ryan Cooper, Lieutenant Lisa Parker, Engineer Tom Miller, and Pilot Sarah Jones. Each of them knew they would die in the next hour, but they smiled anyway. "Remember," Helen told them, "you need to connect to the alien network at exactly the same time. When I give the signal, activate your interfaces together. The cascade will spread through their entire fleet." "Major." Kate Williams looked at the others. "It has been an honor serving with all of you." The surgery took 30 minutes. When it was done, each volunteer had 5 neural interfaces implanted in their brain instead of 1. No human had ever survived that much alien technology in their head. Above them, the final battle for Earth had begun. War Chief Bracknell led 2,000 alien ships in a direct assault on humanity's home planet. They came in a massive wall of metal and energy, firing everything they had. Admiral Paul Bennett commanded the human fleet from his flagship. 300 human ships moved to meet the alien armada. It looked like a small group of fish trying to stop a shark. "All ships, this is Bennett," the admiral said. "Today we fight for everything we love. Show these aliens what humans can do when our backs are against the wall." Commander Jake Morrison flew his damaged ship into the heart of the battle. His neural interface was barely working, but he could still sense the alien formations. He led 50 human fighters in a desperate attack on the enemy flagship. The aliens fired everything they had at the small human force. Space filled with explosions and laser fire. Jake's ship took hit after hit, but he kept flying toward his target. "This is for Danny Brooks," Jake said as he launched his last missile. The weapon struck the alien flagship's main weapon. The explosion was so bright it could be seen from Earth. But more alien ships kept coming. On Mars, the last human Marines made their final stand. Corporal Mike Turner had taken command after Staff Sergeant Linda Hayes died from her neural interface. He led 20 enhanced soldiers against 500 alien troops. "Make every shot count," Mike told his Marines. "Our families are counting on us." The Marines fought like demons. Their enhanced abilities let them move faster and shoot better than any human ever had before. But there were too many aliens. One by one, the Marines fell. Mike was the last one. Alive. Surrounded by enemy soldiers, he activated a grenade and took 50 aliens with him. His last words were, "Earth will never surrender." In her laboratory, Dr. Helen Carter watched the 5 volunteers prepare for their final mission. Their brain readings were off the charts. The neural interfaces were already starting to kill them. "Are you ready?" Helen asked. "Yes, Major Kate," Williams replied. Her voice was strange now, like she was speaking from far away. Helen looked at the battle reports on her screen. Humanity was losing. Half the human fleet was gone and the aliens were getting closer to Earth. It was time. "Activate the interfaces," Helen said. "Now." All 5 volunteers closed their eyes and connected to the alien network at the same time. The effect was immediate and terrible. Blood poured from their eyes and ears as their brains burned out from the overload. But it worked. Across the alien fleet, ships began to shut down. The cascade failure spread from vessel to vessel like a virus. Weapons stopped firing. Engines went dead. Life support systems failed. War Chief Bracknell watched in horror as his perfect fleet fell apart around him. "What is happening?" he roared. His cadre officers had no answer. One by one, the alien ships went dark. The massive armada that had seemed unstoppable was dying. Commander Jake Morrison saw it first. The alien ships near him suddenly stopped firing. Their lights went out and they began to drift in space like dead things. "All ships, the aliens are shutting down," Jake said over the radio. "Attack now while they can't fight back." The remaining human ships charged into the helpless alien fleet. With their weapons silent, the Zephyrian vessels were just floating targets. Human missiles and lasers tore through ship after ship. Admiral Bennett could hardly believe what he was seeing. "Get me a report. How many alien ships are affected?" "All of them, sir," came the reply. "The entire enemy fleet is shutting down." In the laboratory, Dr. Helen Carter watched the 5 volunteers die one by one. Major Kate Williams was the last to go. With her final breath, she whispered, "Tell my daughter I saved her world." Helen wiped tears from her eyes and activated the communication system. "Admiral Bennett, this is Dr. Carter. The cascade is complete. The alien fleet is finished." War Chief, Bracknell's flagship was one of the last ships to shut down. As the lights went out around him, the massive alien leader finally understood what had happened. The humans had turned the Zephyrians' greatest strength against them. "Impossible," he said as his ship died around him. "They are just humans." Those were his last words. His ship exploded when its power core overloaded, taking the war chief with it. The battle was over. Of the 3,000 alien ships that had come to destroy Earth, less than 50 escaped. The rest floated dead in space, victims of humanity's desperate gamble. Admiral Bennett stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked out at the wreckage. Earth was safe, but the cost had been enormous. Half the human fleet was gone. Hundreds of brave volunteers had died from the neural interfaces. Entire colonies had been destroyed, but humanity had survived. And more than that, they had won. "Send a message to all remaining human forces," Bennett ordered. "The Zephyrian Empire is defeated. Earth is free." Across the solar system, humans celebrated. On Earth, people came out of their shelters and looked up at the stars. On Mars, the few surviving Marines planted a human flag on the red soil. On the Moon, Dr. Helen Carter looked at the 5 empty operating tables and said a prayer for the heroes who had saved humanity. The war was over. The aliens had learned something they would never forget. When humans had nothing left to lose, they became the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. Commander Jake Morrison landed his damaged ship on Earth and stepped out onto solid ground for the first time in years. The planet was scarred but alive. Humanity had earned its place among the stars through courage, sacrifice, and the refusal to give up when all hope was lost.